All right, my name's Russell Anthon. I'm a long-range instructor for Defenders USA. I am currently north of Houston in Spring, Texas, but obviously traveling back to Colorado for conference. And I've been doing this since, I think, 2016 is how long I've been teaching. I started work with Adam of Defenders USA and an instructor named Grizz that very few people have had the pleasure to meet. He's a former Green Beret sniper, and I'm kind of competitive, and I just wanted to outdo him and shoot farther. So me being me, I'm allowed to know whatever I want to know. So I went down the rabbit hole and completely immersed myself in it and learned as much as I could, as fast as I could, where I could understand ballistics better than anybody in my circle. And it didn't take long from the time that I started learning to get to the point where I could start teaching. And even though I'm a bit unorthodox and I use a heck of a lot of big words to try to explain the physics behind the shooting, I enjoy it, and it's been something that, especially the conference, probably one of my most favorite things to do. And I enjoy it. I really like to do this stuff. I think it's fun, and it's the laziest of all shooting sports. I mean, we get to literally just lay there and engage targets at unbelievable distances. So being a mechanic by trade, I buy tools specifically so I could get a job done easier without having to work as hard. And in long-range precision, we've got special tools that we can use to hit targets at great distances as easily as we can possibly make it. So it's just natural for me to want to do this. All right, so I had a father-son group come to one of the classes. It seemed like the dad brought the son to do some like father-son bonding or something like that. Clearly, it was the interest of the dad, but the son was not really enjoying himself. He's 14 years old. He was struggling to hit target 4 out there at Cameo, which is approximately 450 yards away. As I watched this kid and he was struggling, he was missing all over the place. I asked if I could shoot his rifle. I shot his rifle, and I was missing all over the place. Ended up finding out that the ammo was incompatible. It was the right caliber, but just incompatible with an AR platform with a scope. Just everything about it was just a combination that was not conducive to long-range precision. We ended up putting this kid on another rifle, and the dad and the son were taking turns back and forth. The son would spot for the dad, and the dad would get his hits and move on to the next target. And then the dad would spot for the son, and the son would struggle, and he'd get frustrated. He was clearly not having a good time. So I ended up pulling the son off the rifle, pulling him away from everybody else, and I asked him what he does for fun. And he said he likes to play the clarinet. And I was like, cool. And I pointed at the rifle and said, that's a really loud clarinet. And he looked at me with this puzzled look on his face. And I said, do you think it takes, breath control to be able to play a clarinet well? And he's like, well, yeah. And I said, do you think it takes fine motor skills, like being able to operate your fingers to operate the keys of a clarinet? Like, well, yeah. And I said, that trigger is just one key of this very loud clarinet. And then as soon as I made the association between the rifle and what he really enjoyed doing, I was able to convince this kid to get back on the rifle. And next thing you know, he's slapping targets. His dad was on, I think, target 9, about 900 yards when the son was struggling at target 4 at 450. And in a matter of hours, the son was out to 1,500 yards on this other rifle, and kind of taking his dad to the cleaners and really doing well. And when that connection was made, and the look of, for lack of a better term, contempt, I guess, he wasn't happy to be there. But after I made that connection and associated to what he really enjoyed doing, he started to have fun. And then for the rest of the class, they were like best friends. They got along real well. I'm not sure if they had a stable relationship at home or something like that, but you could clearly see that there was a shift between them. The dynamic between them had changed, and they were both having the time of their lives. They ultimately all both got out to 2,000 yards, which was great. And I was super happy. And that one I hold on to. And I actually tell that story a lot because it does it wasn't even about the shooting at that point. It was basically building a relationship between those two that hopefully continues to this day. They learned a lot. They had fun. They hit targets. They were high-fiving each other, and it was awesome. Some of the events that I do with a girl and a gun, the sniper school, even in conference with the limited time that we have in conference. Yes, I do talk a lot, and I do use big words, and I do tend to overcomplicate things. But then when I hot wash it and boil it all down to the very basics of what it takes to do what I'm asking you to do, and these ladies are getting hits 1,000 yards and beyond, and then they light up. It's fun, right? I work a normal 9 to 5 in the oil field, and it's miserable. It's stressful. Everybody's mad. We're in the cold. We're in it's not fun. But to teach somebody and to see them when they have that aha moment and they're like, oh, now I get it. Now I can do this, and then watch them do it on their own. A teacher is somebody who progressively makes themselves more and more unneeded, right? If I do my job, you don't need to come see me again, which means you picked up what I was teaching and you were able to then do that on your own. And there's been countless ladies that since attending conference and coming through my class and some of the other classes have gotten into PRS competitions, long range competitions, 3-gun competitions, where they're engaging targets, even just with like an AR with a lower power scope, not necessarily an LPVO, but some of these like a 4-14 or a 4-16 or something like that, and they're engaging targets 500 to 1,000, maybe even 1,200 yards away with an AR. And they send me messages afterwards, be like, look what I did, and they're super proud of it. And I get these stories, this feedback all the time from some of these ladies that are just super thrilled with now being able to get into a section of the sport that was previously unknown to them. And I do make it kind of rocky on the way there when I'm giving them all these big words and showing them how the physics work. But the whole purpose of that is to show them if something goes wrong, this is why. And now you can do that math on your own, and you can figure out why it went wrong, and you can make the corrective action. So those moments, those messages that I get where they truly show, heck yeah, I can do this now. That's why I continue to do it. It's fun. Women have the ability, if I say, forget everything you know about long range, I'm going to give you some other stuff. They have this ability to like hit a delete button, and they are fresh canvases. They are ready to rock and roll. And this is something that I've experienced every year since I've been involved with a girl and a gun. Every lady that has come through this class has been an open book. I can't say that for all the guys who've come to my class, because I do teach people that do this for a living, whether it's military or law enforcement or something like that, and they have an ego, and they're like, you can't teach me nothing. Every one of these ladies is so willing to learn and so receptive. It's unlike any other experience with any other class. Typically, you see, the big macho guys that are like, I've been doing this since 1942, and I'm the best there ever was. And it doesn't matter what skill level the ladies come in. They always listen. They always pay attention. They always learn something. They always perform, and it makes it. They make me work less hard because they're so willing to learn, and they're so accepting, and they do ask questions, which is great. I love the questions, because a lot of times I'll assume that somebody already knows something, and if they don't ask the questions, then something gets skipped over. But they're so easy to work with. It's remarkable how easy the women that show up at conference are. It's unbelievable. Oh man, be who you are. Ask the questions. Especially in my class, if something doesn't make sense to you, absolutely interrupt me. Absolutely ask. There's a lot of really top tier instructors that show up at this. A lot of them are personal friends of mine. A lot of them teach very complex stuff. Ask them questions. Like, shooting sports is fun, of course, but a lot of the classes that show up there, self-defense classes, something like that, something a little bit more somber, you really want to make sure you're doing things right. So ask the questions, even if it's for sport, but especially if it's for legality and stuff like that. So always ask questions. Be yourself. If you're going to take my class, the last class of the last day, it's typically kind of tough for some of the ladies because they've been exposed to so much drinking from a fire hose for their morning session on the first day and their afternoon session on the first day. And by the time they get to me, they've had 5 sessions of drinking from a fire hose from some of the best instructors out there. And then they have to try to digest what I'm throwing out there. So be prepared for that. Otherwise, have fun, because this truly is the best organization when it comes to an all-female shooting sports organization on the planet. So some of the ladies that I've had come through my class have never shot a bolt-action rifle before, never used a magnified scope before, or had to read the reticles. If anything, I hope, even if I don't turn them into experts in the 3 to 3.5 hours that I have them for in each session, I hope they get a taste of it, and I hope they realize there's not as much voodoo involved with it as maybe they previously thought. Because I have had some come through that have admitted that they had no idea what they were getting into, and never done it before, and they thought that there was maybe more to it. Some of them maybe thought there was less to it. But the mindset shift is hopefully they see what I teach as less magic and more doable science. Okay, so common mistakes, and this again comes from lack of exposure to it. Quick movements. Any other shooting sport that we have, handgun, shotgun, carbine, any of that stuff, it is brute force. You're moving the guns around. You are the recoil device. You are the aiming device. You are everything. Coming to a long range course, the more you touch the rifle, the more you mess it up. And that sounds crazy, but every one of these rifles, Robin provides rifles as loaners for those who don't have any, and they are, I believe they're Savage 110 Elites, which are some of my favorite rifles. And then she has a few of the Ruger Precision rifles, which are also like if bad things happen and I had to grab something and out of my collection and go, it would be either one of my Savage rifles or my Ruger Precision rifle. So like 2 of my favorite rifles. These rifles will outshoot me. Okay. So the more I touch the rifle, the more I'm like pressed up against it, or, trying to load the bipod, which I'll explain what that is in a class. The more you try to control the rifle, the more you can cause a miss. So a tip or a bit of advice would be learn how to manipulate the rifle to where you don't have to touch that much, and I will show you how to do that. Quick movements will absolutely screw you up. Big movements will absolutely screw you up. Be gentle, be relaxed, breathe easy. Like I said, this is a very lazy side of the shooting sports thing. So if you're signed up for my class, I will show you how to efficiently be lazy and still be able to get hits on target. Don't be afraid of the math. Okay. If things go right. Hank will be there again with me. For those of you who haven't met Hank, Hank's the guy who makes most of what I say understandable. But I might have a special guest if he can. Former Navy SEAL sniper and a good friend of mine. And he was wanting to come and attend and help as an instructor. So there's possibility that we could have a pretty legit badass come hang out with us and help call wind and help work with some of you ladies. So if you're going to take my class, there might be kind of another cool guy that comes and hangs out. Okay, so www.defenders-usa.com.